Welcome to this week's episode of Art Wisdom Podcast with Chris and Kat. And this week, Kat, we're talking about selling prints. Last week, we spoke about how to make prints. So now you've got all your prints. It's like, what are you going to do with them? Or you know how to do them anyway. It's like, what next?
What next? And if you haven't listened to the previous podcast, which was about how to make the prints, definitely recommend going back and watching that first. So you're there, you've got your prints, they look great. Now the problem is you've got to sell them, and that is its own specific challenge. And you would say that sales comes down into a few different bits. Firstly, it's allowing people to even get to know the product first. So it's like lead acquisition. And then it's going on to the actual sales part of it.
Yeah. And I think we said last week as well, we talk about limited edition prints and like open-ended prints too. For me, like, obviously you can do both, can't you? I think having as many avenues is best as well, isn't it? Because you've got different price points that you can meet for different customers as well.
Yeah. So I think we spoke about last week, we did mention like not to have too many different sizes because it's overwhelming, but also I would say having a variety of price ranges. So making your small prints really available to people that don't have a big budget is incredible. And then you can still do higher priced, either limited edition or like really large prints. For me, my prices range at the moment ranges from about $100 to $500. So the smaller ones are 100, the largest ones are 500. And I could do limited edition prints that might be a little bit more expensive, but most of mine they're limited by time. And I think that I talk about this a lot because you can have print sales available all year round, and that must work for some people, but it doesn't seem to work for me. And I think part of it is that if something is always available, it's sort of come to the store and it's like, oh, well, I'll just get it next time. And you don't even know if next time ever exists again. So I like to create events. And I think that a lot of art is sold through like events. They're just called exhibitions, right? Gallery moments and all that kind of stuff. So I actually create events around my projects. So I'm launching specific projects. Now I'm actually due to launch one in a couple of weeks, which I'm kind of excited about. But I find that event-based selling is really useful. And I actually take my prints off the market after I finished those events. And I think for me, that's quite important. Mainly because I've got fresh stuff coming out all the time. And I don't want to ever have to present people. Like I always say, when you're doing it, you've got to have at least 8 different designs. But once you're getting into the range of like over 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 different designs, it gets super overwhelming. I mean, like the decision fatigue is real when it comes to that amount of options. I mean, that's just me. And how I've managed to optimize my sales is just simplifying it.
Yeah.
So,
and I've probably done the opposite here, Kat. I've probably got like 40, 50 images and then maybe 3 sizes of each. And my sales are open all the time. So It is sort of a marketing strategy, isn't it? And I think as well, you know, you say like sales, I'm saying my sales are open all the time. If I'm not because I'll do advertising as well. If I'm not advertising, then it's people aren't drawn to my site and my images. And what I've seemed to have found as well is when I advertise a certain print, they're the ones that sell. So people still go to your website, don't they? And they can look at all the others, but it's the ones that you've put out there that get the interest.
I think that this is the thing, right? People don't fall in love with your artwork at an instance. I mean, it can happen. It's like real love, isn't it? Sometimes love at first sight. I'm sure that does happen on rare occasions, but often you sort of have to build up a level of familiarity and keep on seeing something before you start to make the decision. I mean, like if you think about how you work in reality, like when you see a product, it's presented to you on Facebook. Every time you see something on sale, you don't instantly go click, right, buying it straight away. Now that might happen, but you might have been already kind of into it before you saw that thing, you know. But in reality, you kind of have to see something a couple of times and decide whether you actually want it, get a level of familiarity. I always say like 30 touch points for that art piece before someone makes the decision to purchase. And that's what I go off.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any science really behind that. I've heard that there's something like you have to see something a couple of times before you make the decision. But for me, the number 30 is a very, very effective number. So, and that is, I might do a story, I might do a post, I might do a tweet about it. They might see it on my Instagram as well as on my TikTok or whatever it is. And they start to grow a level of comfortability with something. They got to get comfortable, because I think that you can't rush people into a decision to make a purchase.
Yeah.
And I think that what you've said there earlier is really important, that if you do have consistent sales, a consistent store, that you do have to have like a consistent advertising or marketing campaign active.
Yes.
So, you know, you can't necessarily, like, the biggest mistake is putting stuff in a store and just thinking, hey, it's just going to sell. Just there's nothing going on, nothing driving traffic.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, people fall into the store and fall into the cart, and that never really works out, unless, I'm sure, look, if you are like a mega star, but even then, the reason why people are going to your cart or your store is because they've seen a news article about you, or there's something, or they've seen some press, or there's something to go to drive them to the store. If it's not an active campaign, it might be loads of PR that's going on around you. That's why, you know, like celebrities are so successful, they might not have to do consistent promoting. But if, you know, if you're just everyday person like trying to make some art sales, you got to promote, and you've got to have like active marketing going. Like might be an occasion where someone sees a post on Facebook or whatever and thinks, oh, I'll just click to see the website. But most often, you know, but even then, like, that's an organic type of marketing. But you can't just, let's say, not post, not do advertising, and then expect anyone to turn up in your store.
So basically, we are doing the same sort of thing. Mine are available all the time. Yours are just a short thing. But to get people there, we are actually taking action to do something. Yours is like en masse, intense for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I would say that the way that I like to run things, so I do event-based selling. So it'd be interesting to see like the two different styles, right? So what I do is I do a pre-launch, which is where I'm in right now. This is what I'm in. I'll be like, hey, we've got an announcement coming next week, and we'll tease it. We'll build the tension. We'll build the excitement. People don't know what's coming. They're all guessing. And a lot of people, because I've not been running a constant store, know that I've not sold anything for months. So they've often been asking, and whilst every time anyone asks me, when I'm doing all my organic posting normally and I've not got anything available for sale, I'll just direct them to my email list. So all of these people over the course of the last 3 months have been, my email list has been slowly building. And then we come into the pre-launch, and then I start to promote my email list quite heavily and say, you know, I've got a big project coming, very excited, announcing soon. If you want to get to know about it, here's the email list, pop your details in. I will email you when it's live. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. It's really exciting. And the reason why I do that is because in order for an announcement to be deemed as important, you have to tell people it's important. So you have to give it the level of like excitement and whatever, to make sure that people are aware that it's something that's big. It's not just like a small announcement, right? And then once I've done the announcement of what the project is, that's when what we call the pre-launch. So the first bit was a pre-launch. Second bit is the pre-launch, right? And during the pre-launch, it's like we're sharing intensive levels of like all the different artwork. We're showing the artwork in situ. So like in a room, on a table, on a desk, on a sideboard, on the wall, we're showing the process. We're talking about the history and the back part of it. We're talking about like what the artwork means. We are showing the different angles, doing like slow-mo videos, doing time lapses, doing TikToks. Not necessarily the dances though, but you know, with the reveals and all of that kind of stuff. Although my team were trying to convince me to do a TikTok dance, and I was like, I would rather die.
Your canvas.
I was like, guys, oh well, that's all right. I could probably do that, but I was like, guys, I think you're just trying to wind me up. Just
Gonna have a laugh at your
but it
expense.
doesn't matter. I'm right. That's why I'm like, I see you. um, so then, so that pre-launch has to be at minimum, I say 10 days. And it's 10 days where each artwork gets at least 30 exposures to people, and you're showing and you're creating the buzz, and all whilst you're doing this, you're telling, obviously things for me, they sell out very quickly. So join the email list, get involved, you know, because otherwise you might be disappointed. That often happens. So from that point, it's like my email list. So if, you know, if it was relatively flat, you know, maybe I'll be gaining an extra 20 emails or 30 emails a week during when I'm doing nothing, when I'm not running an active campaign. But then it starts to raise to, I mean, we're looking at like, can be hundreds of emails every single day during these moments.
Yeah.
So, you know, my aim is like to build, you know, lots and lots and lots of emails if I can. Like that's the key, because I do an interesting twist on my stores is that you can only get in with the password, and you can only get the password if you're on the email list. And the reason why I do that is because I like to create the level of excitement and curiosity. Firstly, I think it's a lot of fun to do these pop-up secret stores, and sometimes I just throw in a secret store and no one knows about it. But also it's so that I can curate who I want to work with. I've had exposure to people that have ordered prints and then done like recharges and taken all the money back from the artwork and received it. And of course, you can't stop people from doing that. But I can certainly make sure that I don't sell to them again. So we've had some repeat offenders. So we do this for like, which is really heartbreaking as a small business to have people rip you off like that. But you know what? That happens in business. You can't expect it not to happen. But you do your best to mitigate it. So that's what we do. And so then we're in the pre-launch, and then we build it up. The intensity ramps up. So we start by just posting about it once or twice a day, maybe depending on the platform. Obviously Instagram, you don't want to be doing loads of feed posts, but you might be doing lots, like a couple stories here or there. And then towards the end, we're counting down the hours, the minutes, not quite the seconds, but we're building it up. We might even launch a live stream just as we're about to open the store. And then we're obviously doing like everybody's all hands on deck, making sure people can get into the store, sending all of those mass emails out. In my case, my database is now at 20,000 people, which is incredible, but building every day. And it's amazing. So then everyone gets into the store, they check out, and then, you know, we only really run things from, you know, 7 to 10 days. I quite like 10 days because you can kind of get 2 weekends in there, and that kind of works nicely for me. But then once it's all closed and over, you know, we process all the orders, we say our thank yous, and we have a bloody rest, because I can tell you what, once you've gone through the intensity of one of my launches, you need a bloody lie down. So in that way, I compress half a year's worth of sales into 7 days. And it creates a level of excitement. You know, there are people tweeting about it. I just ordered this and I just ordered this. And people saying, you know, this is a very intense experience. And it was a lot of fun. Like, it's good. It's really, really good. So I loved doing those kind of things, and I'll keep on doing it. I am planning to do like a longer tail thing. We're developing our own paints and brushes as we speak. So that'll be like an ongoing thing. But for the art, we're just doing it limited. But I'd love to hear about you, Chris, your ongoing sales and how you're driving because you're doing actual ads, right?
Yeah. Well, let me just recap on just yours just for a second, because you've just told everybody complete gold of everything that you do. So anybody out there, if, you know, Cats just give you everything there, if, you know, that's the way that you want to go. You love social media, you love being on it, it's your thing, you know, besides the art and the thing, you would stay on social media all day and connect. It's like you just love it. So if you know, if you feel the same as that, these opportunities are there to do things like that. It's not what I like to do, you know. there's other avenues to do it. But even from what you've just said there, there's snippets of it that people can take, because you're full on, aren't you, Cass? You're full on.
I? Me? Nah.
So even if you
I
take
would,
maybe even half of things like that, of what
yeah.
you said, you know, it can still work. So there's lots of gold in what you said there. I'm feeling like I'm a bit of a cop out now with my Facebook
No,
marketing.
you know what? But I think there are multiple ways. Like,
Yeah. And
just find the way that works for you. You know, that's
that's
all that matters.
just what I was going to say. Find what suits you, you know, and I don't want to spend all my time running a business. So I'm actually finding ways to outsource as much as I can. And Facebook marketing is a way to outsource it. Maybe we'll talk in another episode about Facebook marketing, because it's great. You know, you put an ad out there, but the ad's got to be a good ad. You know, it's got
Oh
to
yeah, I mean,
people, you know,
it doesn't matter how much money you put behind a bad copy and bad image and stuff that's not engaging. You might as well just, yeah, I mean, it's a waste otherwise. So what's your keys on getting it right?
I suppose just one message, and it's probably the same for your social posting as well. And we're probably all doing the
Yes.
same thing. It's just like,
Don't confuse people.
don't confuse, don't give 3 different things to do because you're paying for this ad. So you're going, well, I'll give them an ebook and then I'll send them to my website, or and then I'll just have them look at this. It's like, nah, it's just like one action item to take.
The
So
one thing.
the one thing, yeah, it keeps coming back to that, doesn't it?
Right.
Whatever you're doing, just the one thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a good book actually for everyone to read if you've not read it. Who's it by? Do you remember?
No.
Someone. It's by someone. The One Thing by a person.
Yeah. Yeah, so Facebook marketing, you know, it does work. You're going to have to probably mess about with it to find out. I'm just investigating Pinterest at the moment, so I'll follow back with that, because I love all the stats that you can get on these things as well, so you can see how well you're doing and then see what orders come in. You know, if you're making your money, then it's working for you, you know.
Right, because the beautiful thing about doing advertising and marketing on Facebook, and also the same for Instagram, I do believe, is that you can have a pixel, which is basically a literal 1 pixel image that's on your website, right? And when someone then clicks on the website, this image has to load, but the image is based on the Facebook server. So the Facebook server knows that the person that clicked on your ad has now loaded the web page. So you can put that pixel on your congratulations, you just ordered this product page, which means that it sends information back to Facebook to say, hey, they made it all the way through the checkout. So then they can put, basically they can track that sale has actually, so they have driven a sale to your website. So you can tell, is it actually working? And you can tell literally because it's loading the data straight back to Facebook, which is really handy.
Yeah.
It's a bit creepy if you don't know about it. I think it's like the first time I heard about it, I was like, but it's a very common thing, all done all the time.
Yeah. Well, tracking everything.
Everyone's
tracking everything, but since this is iOS 14, that stuffed things up a lot apparently, because you just opt out of all that tracking when you accept. You have to accept to be tracked, and nobody's going to do that, are they?
No, so I doubt it.
It's really messed up the Facebook
the tracking.
Yeah, it's
right. I didn't know that. That's interesting information. Yes. Yeah. But regardless, you can still optimize for clicks, even if you can't optimize for, is the person even going to make it through the final checkout? What you can do is Facebook can tell if someone's clicked your button, they can tell that, and you can optimize for that as well.
Yeah, so much information on that. So, you know, Facebook marketing, Instagram marketing, Pinterest marketing, they're all available to use. So you're just sort of spending your money instead of your time. So it just depends on where you're at.
Well, if you can make it, so if for instance you find that for every $5 on Facebook marketing, you're making $15, let's say,
Oh
or
yeah,
$20. Do you
yeah,
know what I mean? You just
yeah,
turn the tap up, and
yeah,
especially if you've got it linked to a print on demand service.
yeah.
I mean, I mean, there is what's called a saturation point where you can't turn the marketing up infinitely,
No.
because obviously you have to. So in Facebook marketing, you have to target it at a specific group. You have to say age range,
Mm.
hobbies, interests, location. I mean, you could put any combination of different things to try and find like your ideal market. And I think in the past episode, we spoke about avatar, right? And this is where your kind of avatar comes into play, which is like, who is the ideal person that's going to be buying your service? So that's kind of part of what the Facebook advertising is. That goes up to a saturated, you can't like turn it up infinitely. Otherwise, we could have like infinite money machine with our artwork. It'd be amazing.
I know some people who it does, but then it does
Right.
reach that saturation point and they have to
Mm.
not even change too much in the ad, maybe change the copy only or just the
Yeah.
pictures only, and then they find that it takes off again. But it's all test and measure, isn't it? All these things are.
Oh yeah. I mean, and you know what, even with my products, I find, right, every single time I'm like, this is going to be the biggest seller, or this is going to be the message that connects. And then when I actually query my fan base, and I love, and it's this idea, perfect. If you want to sell prints, check with your audience. Which one of these do you like the most? If you're like trying to find out different formats, let's say, even if it's like, if let's say hypothetically you're trying to figure out, should I sell a print, should I sell it on a coffee mug, or should I sell it as a notepad, right? And you're trying to work out, and you think, yeah, definitely everyone's going to go for prints for sure, but then you put it out as a poll on your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, whatever it is, and you'll be bloody surprised, because like what we assume people want isn't necessarily what people always want. And in the same way, you can use this data analytics of like, you can split test, right? You get multiple different versions of the advert, the copy, the title. Obviously, only change one thing at a time. Otherwise, it's impossible to figure out what's working.
Yeah.
But then you can work out. And Carrie, it always surprises me, because I'm always, oh, I'm banging on the money this time. I never bloody am.
Yeah.
Data trumps all. Yeah.
Yeah. And this week, actually, I was quite surprised. I had a person and I didn't know she was conflicted with two paintings that she wanted to buy. And she went for the one because of the text that I'd written. She said, every time I look at it, I'll always remember. And it was a quote. But I thought, wow, I hadn't put that much, thought that would make that much difference in people selecting a painting. So that's something else to think about as well, isn't it? If you do have things on your website, it's like, what do you have? Take the time to write something there that make connect even more, because as we've said before, they're not just buying the work, they're buying the story, they're buying us, they're buying the
story. 100%. Like the art, the image of what you've got going is just a medium of communication of what the story is. The art isn't, I mean, the art obviously is important. I'm going to say the art isn't important. I'm a professional artist. However, the message is important. The art is just how you communicate it, right? And your art doesn't have to be painting. Your art could be sculpture. It could be poetry. It could be dance. I mean, it could be anyway. But the point is that and actually, I think this is often what people get confused about, is the difference between art and craft. I know I can bang on about it, but it's so important. The craft is the way in which you do it. The skills, your experience, the confidence in which you do your work. But it's the art is actually the story, the meaning, because people aren't necessarily buying. Now, and if you want to sell prints, it's important to know this. People aren't just buying it as a wall decoration. Now, that is an aspect of it, sure, but it's a small aspect of it. People are actually buying meaning. They're buying something that gives them pause for thought, rather than, because if they wanted to buy wall decoration, they'd just go down to like a bloody Home Depot, Kmart or Target, they just go to a shop somewhere to buy something. Or if you're in the UK, go to Wilko's or whatever it is. Whereas what you're selling is something with heart and soul. So being able to communicate that, super, super important. Sorry, that was my rant. Thanks.
You don't.
Off my soapbox.
So, you know, we're selling something and then it's obviously moved something in them, which may be completely different to what, we think. But also, I suppose having that text or that meaning as well, that's maybe another little hook that might, that sold that painting for me, that quote that was on there.
Yeah.
The painting, as we say, the painting sold it as well, but it was, everything
It's all part of it.
Everything
They
helps.
all
It's
go
like when we want to sell stuff, it's like make the best opportunity for what we can is, do your written word.
Yeah, and I would say that getting to the cause and the reason why you believe in the work that you're doing, and don't get me wrong, that often we make artwork for years and years and we don't know why we love it.
Yeah.
We're compelled to, but to find that compelling reason, it makes it so much easier to promote. Because here's the thing, when you have to sell prints, people go, oh, I don't want to sell myself. I don't want to promote myself. Do you know what I mean? This feels icky and horrible for a lot of people. But talk about the subject matter which you're fascinated with. I don't necessarily go, I'm an amazing artist, or I mean, maybe occasionally, but that's not my marketing message. My marketing message is space is bloody amazing and it's beautiful and it's cool. And I will talk and forever about how bloody cool space is. And it's so and I think that's important once you get and I'll be honest, Chris, I always find the writing, the thought that goes behind the paintings often quite hard, because often for me, there's, especially for my abstract stuff, and I think abstract artists probably have this more challenging thing than people that painting from like real life or like photographs or whatever it is that what you're trying to talk about is different emotions that it's making you feel, and like trying to put emotions into words for me can be a little challenging. Like I know what I'm feeling, but like how do you sum it up in a way? Yes. So I do find I find the writing stuff and my abstract stuff hard, but it's important and it must be done.
Yeah, and we did do a podcast on purpose as well, so this is sort of what we're talking about as well, so it's worth, if that's where you're at, to go back and look at the purpose one, so that will help.
So let's talk about profit margin, because I think that's really important. We spoke about keeping your pricing structure simple, but what about profit margin? And I think that it's the thing about, you sort of have to detach the concept of the materials from and the labor from the art piece, because the value of the art piece is the value of the message. But in the case of like prints, I always say, you need to be making at least minimum like 50 to, I would say 50 or 60% margin on those prints. And the reason being is that sometimes a print might get damaged in the mail and you have to send another one, or sometimes there's a defect, you didn't notice it, or you accidentally crunched it as you were packing it. If you are indeed packing them yourself, even if you're not packing them yourself, and that's something you have to pay attention, but you have to have a bit of a fuck up margin, and it's really important. But also you need to be able to make a reasonable amount of profit, because and when I say profit, I mean like after the cost of manufacturing, after the cost of shipping, and after the cost of marketing, because of course those are all real costs. But yeah, that's what I would say. How about you? What's your opinion about profit margin? I wouldn't even
be shy of 100%.
Great, love that.
You've done all the work, and it's got to be worth your while. If it costs you, say, if it costs you $100 to get a print done, $100 margin it's not a massive money.
It's not. That's kind of what I do as well. So when I say 50% margin, I mean 50% of the total price is profit. Is that what you mean? That's a good thing to talk about. So if it's a $50 print, I'll sell it for $100.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like,
basically saying
that. Yeah, because as you say, there's so much that can go wrong. Just a couple of postage things, and then you do have to put a lot of. I've had to put so much stuff in place to make all this work. So it's like not just that one print. It's like all those weeks and weeks of work to put those in place to make it all happen. And to be honest, it's got to be worth my while. You know, if
Right.
I'm doing something and I feel like, oh, well, that's going out and I'm not making much, I'm really not going to be inspired to actually
Mm.
promote and to keep doing it, because I think I'm getting a pittance every time I do it. You're not going to feel like you really want to continue doing it. That's just my thoughts on it. That's the way
You're
I.
right. It's got to be worth your time. It really has. And of course, like there's all the extra things you have to pay for. As you said, you've got to pay for your Shopify website if you're doing Shopify, or your sales cart, whatever that might be. You got to pay for your email service if you're selling via email, like I do. I use Klaviyo if anyone's interested, or Klaviyo. I don't know how you pronounce it. But there are loads of other things. So, what's your opinion on discounting?
I don't discount. Oh,
I don't discount either, and I think it's
yeah.
bloody don't discount.
Well,
Do
I was
not do
just
it.
thinking,
I'd
if you did
say
offers, is offers different? If you go, oh, well, I'll do, for a short time. I haven't done it, but I have been, when people ask me, about paintings, and then I might be at a show, or I've been in a gallery co-op thing that was involved in, and people have said, can you do me a better price, or can you do this and that? I've just explained to them that, like, look, I feel like I've put a really good price on it for what it is.
mm,
And I can't move that cost. It is what it is, because I feel like I've put a fair deal up there in the first place, especially with
yeah.
originals. I just.
Oh gosh, you can't sell the original twice. What I would say is add value. So
Mm,
often I, instead of saying like, I'll give you a discount, because honestly, discounting your artwork is the worst. I would literally say, don't do it. In fact, I tell people, well, that's fine if you don't want to buy it. My prices are going up, so this piece is actually going to be more expensive. I do reverse discounts. I price my artwork up every few months, well, probably like every 6 months to 12 months. I'll have like times when my prices will incrementally increase. So people know like this is the best time, because I think we've all had products, even right now, right? We are, so this is in November of 2021, and we're coming up to their Black Friday sales, which is a very, this is actually, this time of year, this last quarter of a year is the hottest time to sell products if you're going to be selling anything, and because of the excitement around Christmas and the holidays. But I've stopped myself from buying stuff so I could wait for the sales.
mm,
And if you think that people aren't going to do that with your art, they'll not buy it, because they'll think, oh, if they know you do sales, they'll be like, oh, I won't buy it, I'll wait until the sales. And people get into the habit of it, whereas if they know there's no sales, this is the best price. And also it's a bit galling for people if they buy products and then next week you've got it
yeah,
on sale.
yeah,
It's a bit tough. So add value. Now, different ways to add value. Sometimes you can have a little written artist statement that goes along with your artwork. I've seen people, heard of people making little photo books with all the different progresses and all the different backstory about making the piece.
mm,
Love that. There are ways in which you can increase the value of the artwork, whatever that is.
mm,
So you can even add something extra. So, I won't decrease the value of my prints, but I'll add in some little art conservative gloves and some little gifts inside that as an additional bonus. I'll never though discount the artwork.
yeah. No, we had
Mm.
like Blue Thumb occasionally do sales, and the last
Right.
sale they had, I think I saw one or two. Um,
Ah,
oh no, I wasn't very happy though, because I didn't know the sale was
ah,
on, and I would have just put my store on hold. But like these people,
ah.
they got like $150 off something, and it was an original artwork and that, and I was, you know, not
Oh, sheet, not
horrifically
print.
happy no about that, but it's just let it go and move on. But I thought, I didn't even know the sale was on, and I wouldn't have participated in the sale if I knew it was on. Because as you say, we're all the same. We wait for sales, don't we? We've been
We
conditioned
do. So
to.
if you make it very clear that you're not discounting your artwork, but that it's going to go up, this is the cheapest it's ever been, and it's going up, or maybe I can add value in some other way. Maybe I can upgrade your shipping, and or something like that. I think that goes a long way. So what are your top three things, Chris?
My number one is marketing, Facebook marketing, you don't have to do it all yourself. If it's not your thing, if you don't have the time, because it's quite time consuming to be doing all these posts and that, it's okay to pay somebody else to do it. So investigate. If you don't have the time, but and you do want to do it and you have a budget, investigate some marketing.
Where would you hire someone if you were
I'm just talking about platforms, really, not even because if you understand it yourself, you can use the Facebook platform, Instagram, Pinterest, and spend your dollars doing that. Collect some
I see.
stats, collect some information, and start finding out, how you can make that work. If you're time poor and you've got extras cash. Number 2, I've wrote down sort of limited edition and open-ended prints. At the moment, I'm just doing open-ended prints. I suppose it's another avenue to have if you want to do a different level of spend for people. So it's another opportunity for us to have different price points. That's all. But if you're selling prints, it's like, why do limited edition prints if you're selling continuously?
But well, if you're getting the sales, then do it.
That's it. Yeah.
Why not?
Sales, I mean, like, what is it about? If you can get the sales and they just keep coming, I would just do open-ended prints.
Yeah.
Make it worth your while is the third one, because I think it's just really important to, when you're doing it, that you know that you're making money, you're getting your products out there. This is a business, it's not a charity. And you've got to feel like the time and effort that you're putting in is coming back to you, and you're thrilled with the way your business is going. Design your business.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, for my top 3 things, if you're doing a timed sale, the pre-launch is the most critical time to promote. You can't skimp out on pushing during the pre-launch. The second thing is those 30 touch points. People need to build familiarity with, comfortability with your artwork and with you and the mission and the message and all of that jazz. But they got to know, you can't just throw people into a sales event cold and expect that they're just interested or understand what's going on. People, and also be aware that not everybody's going to see every single piece of advertising media or promotion that you're going to put out there. Most of them are going to miss 90% of it. So don't feel shy about, pushing lots of stuff out there, in particular on the week before you launch. There should be no doubt in anybody's mind that you're launching a store. You shouldn't just be like, I'm launching. Do you know what I mean? And then be like, why did no one come to my launch? Like, no one bloody saw the message. No one knows you're running it. So make sure people are aware. And my last point, and it is a biggie, is build your email list. The majority, email is such a good way to sell. It's just phenomenal. And like, as I said, we spoke about before, with Instagram, like I had my Instagram shut down for a couple of weeks. I didn't even know if it was ever coming back, but I had my email list and I knew that I could still contact myself, my clients and my collectors with no trouble at all. So build your email list. Oh gosh, it's so important. So Chris, any final comments?
I suppose one would be that we need still to have pretty pictures, maybe in situ pictures as well, to make them look, amazing. People
100%.
sometimes can't use their imagination, so it's like we have to do all that work for them.
Product photography is so critical in making sales. As you said, show what the artwork looks like in the room, because people don't necessarily have the imagination, it's or ability to consider that what it looks like. But also it's just good to be able to elevate your artwork with great photography, like so important. Yeah, for sure. I think that's all for me. So if you are listening, have you sold any prints yet? If you've got any suggestions for future episodes, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to follow us on all the socials. Remember, we've got a new name, Art Wisdom Podcast. We'll put all of those links in the description. And next week, we are talking about how to build your email list. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.